Sometimes cars make scary noises.
Today, we asked real mechanics to come in and diagnose terrifying car noises that we found on TikTok.
This first clip, the customer says that their car sounds like it's possessed. Let's scope it out.
I think it's the fans.
That would scare you.
Yeah, that's really trippy.
It would scare you.
I'm Angelina Alcantara. You can find me at Miss Say the Shop Teacher on Instagram or on YouTube at Miss Say the Shop Teacher. Some sort of fan is touching a plastic shroud.
It might be the fan. It might be the fan for their air conditioning. I'm Paul Meeker. I am the owner of LexTech, Lexus and Toyota specialist. That fan, it isn't like a typical fan, I guess. You would call it a rat cage. The blades are on the outside, so the middle's empty. So stuff falls in there, it unbalances the fan, it'll make all kinds of noise. Even a leaf, like a leaf will make all kinds of noise.
So you would say that this was the shit hitting the fan?
The shit hit the fan.
Hit the fan. Are Nissans more haunted than other cars?
If it's coming from the dash, it's probably from the blower motor. But if it's coming from the motor, it's a Nissan problem.
If something's not lined up, the shroud's not sitting right, then it could be any car. Doesn't matter which one.
How would you grade this? Would you take this to your mechanic or just let it ride?
So as long as nothing's like really obstructing the fan, I just say let it ride.
I would just at least check the AC filter, which is pretty easy. You could probably YouTube it to figure out if you don't know how to do it. Otherwise, take it to the mechanic.
Next clip.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That thing's running a little rich.
They're also on dry grass.
If you were a farmer, you can use that to clear your fields.
This is like massively dangerous.
These videos are always nowhere.
What are you people doing?
We're looking at a car running way, way, way too rich. It's got so much fuel, it's enough to burn raw fuel out the exhaust.
Yeah, so running rich means you have too much fuel, not enough air, so all the fuel isn't getting burnt, it's literally dumping out of the exhaust.
It's not normal to have those kind of flames in your exhaust.
Either it blew the cat off or the flex pipe, and that's why that is making all that noise.
Catalytic converter was probably clogged from running so rich, and now it's just shooting flames out on the ground.
How long would someone want to drive around before fixing this?
I don't think you'd really want to drive it like this.
No, not at all.
Well, you're going to damage your motor on top of it, washing down the cylinders with gas. So it's getting in your oil and thinning your oil on top of it.
Eventually you think the engine can seize?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you drove it long enough.
I was trying to take that to the car meet, like, check this out. Bah, 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 bah. You want two-step? It's right there.
We'd have to find out why it's chugging so much fuel, and for the love of God, somebody should put an exhaust system back on that so we don't start a forest fire.
You got some issues.
Yeah, you got some issues.
I think the driver of this vehicle should go to a professional.
I think you should take it to the mechanic.
100% tow it.
Don't drive it, guys.
In this next clip, the customer stated, our favorite, that their car sounds like a goose. We'll be the judge of that.
Dude, hold on.
Kia.
It's got the spare on there.
It sounds like a trumpet.
Sounds like it's farting.
Look at that shock.
Well, kind of. You know what? That rag gas pedal, it does sound like a goose. That suspension is blown. Sounds good, though.
Yeah.
The chances are you probably hit a pothole or something. You blew the tire out and blew the shock at the same time. That shock's no good. There might be other issues. Might have been other suspension parts. So I would at least change that shock and then do an alignment. The alignment will tell you if anything else is bent.
We got hit.
Oh, for sure.
You see that? Like, you can barely see the gap on the back, and there's a mean-ass gap on the front, so it got hit pretty hard.
And you can see it's hopping up and down as it's going around. So it makes me feel like something with the rolling assembly is definitely bent.
So you hear this sound and you feel that bumping, you take your car to the mechanic, or are you cool?
I would probably have it towed. It doesn't look like it's too safe to drive.
I would recommend that they take it to a mechanic.
This episode's pretty good, right? Wait, are you texting Morgan and Morgan? When you're injured in an accident, hiring an attorney is one of the first things you should do. And with today's sponsor, Morgan and Morgan, submitting a claim is easy. In 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim and have it reviewed by a lawyer from the comfort of your home. Hey, I was thinking we could... Are you still texting Morgan and Morgan? What does this guy have that I don't? The best part, you can text your attorney and case manager anytime. You can also sign documents, upload pictures, share medical records, and doctor bills all from your phone. Dude, my girl will not stop texting Morgan. Are you texting Morgan and Morgan too? Why is everyone texting Morgan and Morgan? More than 3 million people have trusted Morgan and Morgan when they were injured in an accident. If you're ever in an accident, you can check out Morgan and Morgan. You can get started at forthepeople.com or dial #law. That's pound 529 from your phone. Oh, Morgan and Morgan, you always know what to say.
Let's roll the next clip. Squeaky belt.
I can't tell if some of the like snappiness the sound or the. What is he using? What is that?
Like a
Is that paint?
spray to lube it up.
Yeah, that's what belt spray's for.
Oh, yeah.
It is belt spray.
The belt looks old. I mean, it already looks old, dried out, so better off replacing it than just spraying. But I mean, if you just need the noise to go away for a little while, you can spray it. This guy's spraying, I think, excessively.
Vast majority of the time, the belts get worn out and they kind of get glazed over and they stretch over a period of time, so your squeal's going to be it doing a burnout on the pulleys.
Belts are another thing that are cheap to replace generally.
Yeah.
But if they break, it could be very expensive.
About 80,000 miles is probably how much you're gonna get out of a belt.
Sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
I will say that maybe you got
Yeah,
a
dude.
date night and you don't want to be pulling up like, "Ah."
It sounds like a supercharger. Let it ride. She's gonna be like, damn. What are the most common problems that you hear that people cover up on cars instead of fixing them?
I feel like this is like number one. That's why they make the belt spray. Why would you make the spray? That you should probably fix the problem, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Brakes.
Brakes.
Brakes, we hear them drive past the shop, and you can tell they're metal to metal. They just got the windows up and the radio on. That's how you fix any problem, though.
Would you take this to your mechanic ASAP or spray some of that stuff and let it ride?
Let it ride.
You should definitely take it to the mechanic. Make sure the belt's not gonna break. You aren't gonna drive it if the belt breaks.
Next clip.
CY brings the Mazda 2 in, and it's making a really weird noise. We ran over to the local parts store, and we picked up some engine honey.
Yeah, there you go. Drive it? Oh, okay, yeah, turn that off. Crunchy.
Crunchy.
Somehow, the Mazda 2 actually made it home in one piece.
New fresh oil and a quart of Lucas oil
Is that guy flicking him
stabilizer.
off?
Dude, this thing sounds pretty good. You want to give it like a little knock knock. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe we should shut it down.
Yeah, it sounds
That
healthy.
sounds pretty good.
Sounds
Sounds pretty
healthy.
good. Put thicker oil if you want.
So that doesn't sound good.
No, that's the motor coming apart.
That engine's toast.
The rod bearing should be really tight against the crank. The crank goes up and down, pushes the rod up and down. There's a bearing that holds the rod onto the crank. That bearing's probably not even there anymore. This was as bad as it sounded, or worn out so much that there's enough play in it, so that's where that knock comes from. And that honey stuff is thick enough, it took up that
That
bearing.
just shoves in there.
Shoves in there.
Poured a bunch of that honey stuff in that. That's not actually fixing anything, is it?
Not at all, but I mean, enough to get them home.
I used to think that oil stabilizer was the shit. My uncle told me, like, oh yeah, this is, you put every oil change, and then I found out.
Well, you know what my uncle used to do? Take off the valve covers and pour it in there
Oh my
because
God.
it wouldn't travel.
Yeah, it's
It
too
wouldn't
thick, it's too
travel.
thick.
And he's like, you hear the noise? I'm like, no, I don't. We got it. We got it. He's like, mijo, you could drive that for another 2 years. I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah, you got it. I'm like, well, I guess.
If it's an old beater, drive it till it dies. Put some more engine honey in it.
Go buy another car.
Just go buy another.
Go buy another car. Next clip.
Someone forgot to put their car in neutral.
Oh, no.
Oh,
R.I.P. to those tires.
like,
It's not neutral, because it's a front-wheel drive car. You just put the e-brake on.
So it's just got the e-brake on.
He's got the e-brake on, yeah.
That's gonna need 2 tires, but
Flat spine.
Flat spine, yeah.
That U-Haul's gonna get some great gas mileage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dragging a car back of it.
He's probably
that-
got the radio bumping too, just jamming inside
He's
there.
like, "We're moving on
People are
up."
waving him down.
and then in the back, like, dee. Oh, damn, that pitch. Moving on up.
So what's the worst example of a total lack of awareness of driving that you've seen?
When someone's driving around and they said that the oil light's been on for 3 weeks.
One time I was driving and I saw the car next to me, coolant dump out the bottom, and I was like, tried to wave him down. I'm like almost getting into multiple accidents, like, hey.
You should have saw Angelina, man. See a girl going like this and you run away? What the f? My dude, you would have been like, hey, look, she's waving me down. I'm on my way.
Next clip. It's a Volkswagen 1.8T, 20 valve.
Car is doing some weird noise when I start it. Let's see.
Definitely something in the clutch. Maybe the throwout bearing's bad, maybe the pressure plate's bad. It's something. It's rattling around in there when the clutch is disengaged.
When you press in the clutch, you're disengaging the engine from the transmission.
The transmission's gonna come out no matter what to find out what it is, and you're gonna put a clutch in it. And chances are just the clutch. And there's 3 major pieces of clutch: the clutch, the pressure plate, and the disc. So it's one of the 3 pieces, and they come in as a kit, so you change them all at the same time.
Easy-ish.
Transmission has to come out, so not cheapish.
Not cheapish.
So in the comments it says this one has a dual flywheel and it's giving out already. The difference between the dual flywheel and a single flywheel is just how smooth it gears in. A lot of people on the Volkswagens, they upgrade to a single flywheel because you're gonna put out the more performance, bigger turbo, whatever bullshit you wanna add on to it. And some people will get it confused. Like a mechanic's actually said to a customer, you need a motor because the way everything sounds inside.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's a deep knocking.
It's
right?
not like something like you're like clack, 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 like simple, you know? It's deceiving. It's a deceiving noise.
What could potentially happen if you didn't fix this immediately?
The engine would probably still run, but car won't move.
You just
See how
let it
far
ride.
you can go? No, I'm just kidding. You should go to a professional. Go to a professional.
I would take it to the mechanic.
Let's clutch into the next clip. Oh, nitrous.
I think some off-brand nitrous. I've never seen that before.
Hell yeah, direct into the intake. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Wow. It's like a MacGyver move. Pop the hood.
The hood's the least of the worries. I mean, he blew the motor up and probably blew the intake off of it. I mean, that's probably what popped up and hit the hood.
Nitrous is not a fuel. We use nitrous oxide as a type of forced induction like turbocharging or supercharging. When you hear people say things like, oh, I got a 50 shot or 100 shot or 150 shot, that's about the amount of horsepower increase you are supposed to get from that amount of nitrous. And what nitrous does is it cools down the air so much and makes the air really, really dense. The colder the air, the better, because that means more oxygen. When you're adding more oxygen, you gotta add more fuel, or else you're gonna end up with a really, really lean mixture, meaning you've got way too much oxygen, not enough fuel, you end up with a lot of heat, really, really bad for internal engine components.
Modern nitrous systems, because of computers and stuff, that's like pedal actuated, depending on where it is in the throttle. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah,
This is
you're
like...
opening a tank. I mean, it's obvious these guys are trying to blow up their motor. I mean,
there's not a gauge in sight.
no, it's open a bottle or close a bottle.
If you plan on using a whole lot of nitrous like they did, then you're gonna have to start thinking about reinforcing internal engine components, forged pistons, forged rods.
Now, if you want to cheat, you get a fuel pressure regulator, you up those spark plugs, you dump more fuel into that motherfucker, and then you run that nitrous. It might blow the rest of the shit up, but I mean, you'll have fun though.
If you hear this sound, do you want to take it to the mechanic or?
If they're doing this and you even know how to do this, they already know what they're doing. So my guess is they don't need a mechanic. They already are or can do it themselves.
More nitrous.
Yes!
That's what I think you need, yeah.
All right, next clip.
Customer states whining noise while driving.
It's 100.
I was just gonna say.
Okay, everyone says that.
I think supercharged.
Cool, that shit sounds
That's
actually
not
pretty
good.
good.
You're correct this time.
Hyundai.
Let's check it out. Uh-oh.
So sexy.
Firstly and foremostly, you pulled the dipstick.
Oh no.
Oh boy. Nothing on here.
Let's see here. And then, so there's score marks. Right
On the
here,
turbo
see
housing,
those
yep.
lines?
Well, that happens when you have no oil.
Oil is important.
Check your oil.
Check your oil.
Oil changes on all vehicles are important, but especially on turbocharged engines. When you're using engine oil to lubricate something that spins at 20,000 RPM, you have to do your maintenance and you have to make sure not only do you have enough oil, but having clean oil is important too.
The turbo bearings are as it is. It's probably hitting the side, but there's enough suction then it'll spin that impeller.
Eventually, we'd get catastrophic failure of the turbocharger, which would then send shrapnel down the intake, which would be catastrophic for the engine.
But if you have insurance on that, you're good.
There's a Hyundai. They got like 100,000 more warranty, right?
Yeah.
At least stop at AutoZone, put some oil in it, and then take it to the mechanic. But still, you're going to the mechanic.
I would have them take it to a mechanic after cruising the streets, showing off on the.
Take it to a car meet quick. They'll be
There you
like,
go.
damn, sounds mean.
Okay, I gotta go take it to the dealer now.
Next clip, DJ.
I don't think a Cobalt's supposed to sound like that.
Ow.
Nice tire.
Look at these tires.
Caliper guide pin was missing.
The pin's there, bolt's missing.
Way to go, TikTok.
Brakes have to be able to move back and forth to some point. There's a guide pin, which is on the lower half of it. There's another one on the top, and there's a bolt that holds the two together. The bolt snapped off. It almost looks like it hasn't been there for a while, because I mean, it's rusted on the outside of the caliper.
It probably could have snapped Because I don't see no maintenance on that. And if anybody did brakes on that, like, there's no lube, the pads look older than shit. Like, look how dirty the wheel is.
That is not an easily ignored noise.
No, but it probably only happens going in reverse when the caliper gets flipped and hits the wheel.
If you have a good mechanic, he
Wouldn't
might
he,
do that
like,
already.
do it out of his...
Kindness of his heart.
Not kind of his heart, but like as in business point of view, like, hey, if it needs brakes, I'm gonna sell the brakes. If it needs tires, I'm gonna sell tires. So it's kind of like neglect them both
Something
ends, right?
tells me that this customer wouldn't have paid for it, even if he did recommend it.
I worked on a car the other day that came from New York, so lots of rust. We told the guy that he needs to replace every piece of the front brakes because it was so rusted. It's a safety issue when you have so much rust, so you need to replace everything. I think you should take it to a mechanic.
He definitely needs to go to a mechanic.
She's not lying. So don't let it ride. Next clip.
Oh, what's that song?
Yeah, I know which song you're talking about.
Probably not the safest thing in the world, but it's got a bad shock and probably bad control arm.
So if you can deal with the noise, you're good?
Is it gonna fall apart? Probably not.
Probably not. And that's good enough for some.
No, okay, so I wanted to make sure, like, if somebody is bouncing it, you can always test your struts too, or shock absorbers, by doing what they call a bounce test. So if on the front or rear bumper, whichever one you're trying to test, you can give it a few good bounces, like really put your weight into it. The bumper, don't be denting the car. Get a few good bounces, get some momentum going, and then when you let off, it should not continue bouncing more than 1.5 times. If it continues to bounce more than 1.5 times, let's say 2 or more, then you have bad shock absorbers or struts.
I would definitely fix it. I don't think I could drive like that for 10 hours at a time.
It's noisy, which could be a little bit embarrassing, but I think it's fine.
I think we're seeing a recurring theme here. If your car is making a weird noise, it's probably broken, and cars rarely fix themselves. So if you hear something, get it checked out.
If you guys like what we're doing here on the channel, hit the subscribe button.
If you want to send us clips and play for Real Mechanics or be a real mechanic yourself, go to realmechanicstuff.com. Bye.
Peace out.